Hi, it's Jordan Teen 1, and I'm back today to show you a new bracelet design that I'm calling the Basket Braid Bracelet. So here's what it looks like. I think it turns out really cool. It uses a lot of over-under pattern with the rubber bands, so the colors work their way back and forth across the bracelet. So you can do this either on the Rainbow Loom or you can do it on the Monster Tail. So you just need to use 6 pins, so you would use these 6 in the shape of a rectangle. And with the full-size loom, you want your pins to be set up in a straight row so they're in line with one another. And again, you would just use 6 pins in the shape of a rectangle. So for my colors today, since it's getting near Christmas, I decided to do white, green, and red. And as far as the band count, you'll probably need close to around 180. It really depends on the size of your wrist. And I am going to be using double bands, so I'm just going to be using 2 bands at once instead of 1 every time. So you can make it with single bands, and it does turn out okay. I just think that it looks a little bit fuller and nicer with double bands. So I'm going to start out with white, and as I said, I'm going to be doing 2 every time. And I'm going to that 6th pin up on the right hand row, and I'm going to just place these into the left. And now I'll switch to my next color, and these are going to go from the right hand side diagonally down and to the left. And then finally I'll take my red, and these 2 are going from this same pin on the right and diagonally up and to the left. And now I need to place a cap band on the right hand side here. So you can do whatever color you like. I'm going to do white. So I'm going to double this on my hook, just twisting and putting it back on. And then I'm going to put it right on the top here on the right. And so now I need all of these lower bands to come up through the cap band. So I'm just going to push back, and I'm going to grab the 2 reds since they're on top, hold this cap band in place, and I'll just move these straight up to the right here. And then I'm going to take the next 2 in line, so this time it's going to be the 2 green, and they're just going to come straight down. And then finally I have 2 more left that are the white, so I just need to get these off of the pin, but I'm going to leave them on my hook, slide off the cap band, and then I just want to put these right back on. So you can see now that the cap band is just right in the middle there. And now I'm going to put on another layer, and it's going to be the same colors here. So I'm doing green on top of green. And you do want to try and keep the bands as straight as possible. It just makes it look a lot neater when it's done. And then straight across the middle here I have my 2 white. And then finally I have the red across the top. And now I'm just going to remove the bottom layer. So it's going to be the bottom 2 from each of the pins. And again, as you're doing the looping, just try and keep these as straight as you can. So you can see this red one is a little bit twisted. So I'm just going to take a little bit of extra time and try and straighten it out. And then I'll do the left-hand side here. And you're always going to be pushing down every time so you have more room to add on the pin there. And so now we're going to start the part where they go in and out of each other. So it's always going to be on the right hand side here. I'm going to take the bottom 2 green here on the right, and they're going to move to the pin above. We're always working from the outside in. And now I need to grab the bottom 2 white. I'm going to go down inside of the green, bring up those white, and they're going to come back down. And now I'm going to repeat that on the other side. As I said, we're always working from the outside in, and I'm always starting at the bottom. So this one came in, and we pulled the other ones out. Now this one has to come in, and then once again we're going to pull the lower ones up through and back out. So I'm just grabbing the two green, and they're coming up through the red, and they're moving to the pin above. So this one is going to be a longer stretch in the end. It's going to be a little bit tighter. You'll feel it on your bands. And now I'm going to put my layer on top. So you can see that the colors on the pins aren't going to be the same once we move them around. So we're always going to be following the right hand side. We're going to match up the colors with the right. So I'm going to have the white here on the bottom, and then red in the middle. And again, I want these to be nice and straight, and then green across the top. And so now we just need to loop the bottom. So it's just the two from each of the pins. And then once we've looped that layer where they were going straight across, we need to do the braiding part. So again, I'm working from the bottom first, and the outside is always moving in. And then that lower layer is always going to come up through and come back, so that's coming down. And now from this top side it's coming in, so it's moving down. And then the white is coming up through the green, and it's moving up. So now again, this one's going to be your tight one, so you'll feel it. And now we need that next layer of the straight bands that go right across. So again, we're following the pattern on the front, so the red's going to be at the bottom. And then green in the middle. And then finally white. And now the bottom layer comes off. So it's really not too hard of a pattern. And really this is the same pattern you're going to follow for the whole tutorial. So once you get the hang of this, you'll be set for the rest of the bracelet. So let me just show you this again. We're always starting at the bottom, and it's moving in. We're always working from the outside in, and we're always pulling these bottom bands up through and then moving down. And now from the top, this is going to move inward, and the bottom needs to come up through. And then finally we're going to do a layer of the straight, following the pattern on the right. So we have the green, and then the white, and finally the red. And then I'm going to remove that bottom layer. And so basically that's all there is to it. So you can pause your video here and finish making your bracelet. And if you feel like you need to follow along again, you can always go back in the tutorial. So I'm just going to fast forward here, and then I'll show you what to do to remove it from the loom. I now have my bracelet to the length that I want it, so I'm ready to take it off of the loom. So what I'm going to do is take the bands on the right and move them straight across to the left, just to get them all on one side. And then I'm going to take my last white band here, and I'm going to put it from the bottom to the middle. And then I'm going to remove the bottom 4 bands, just slide them onto this white band. So from the middle here they're going to come down. And now I also want to get these red bands on. So I'm just going to pick up this white band and stretch it up to the top. So I can now slide the 4 red bands on. And then I'm just going to take off this white band. Just be careful you don't lose it off of your hook. If you want, you can hold it with your finger. Just pick up the other end here. Now I can slide this out. And I have an S clip. You might have a C clip, whatever you have available. Just going to attach it through the one side. And then I'll go to the other side, and there should be a nice circle here. That's the cap band that we first started with. Just going to slide that through as well. And then here you have your bracelet. So I think it makes a pretty cool design. And let me just show you the other one from the beginning here. So you can see the different patterns. I hope that everyone loves their new basket braid bracelets. You can always leave me comments on YouTube and Facebook, post pictures of your creations to my Facebook page, and please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on my latest tutorials. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, so please feel free to subscribe to those as well. Thanks for watching!